Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests. 11 years ago, Thanksgiving weekend, 2013, I was driving back to Napa Valley from Sonoma State, where I thought about going to school. I was driving along on, if any of you have been there, it's called Petrified Forest Road. And it's a forest, it's very windy, and there's a lot of very sudden curves. And I'm driving along, and I'm singing. Suppose I'll let you know if you keep it a secret. I was singing a Backstreet Boys song. It's called I Want It That Way. I was singing vigorously, and I wasn't paying enough attention, I guess, to the chorus. I wasn't going fast. I just wasn't turning enough. It turns out, with not turning enough, I sort of drove off a cliff. As I drove off, I reached for what I thought was the brake because I was panicking. I accidentally hit the gas and went farther down. I'm barreling as my truck is careening down about this sort of embankment, and I'm going down, and I'm preparing to die. I'm pretty sure that's how this is going to end. And things flashed through my mind, and the thing that flashed the most when I'm coming down was I didn't do anything yet. I didn't accomplish it. I didn't leave anything. I hadn't done what I'm supposed to do. And suddenly I find myself dangling by my seatbelt, holding the steering wheel and looking out, and I see leaves on one side and I see sort of the night sky on the other. And by the grace of God, I had just a little bit of a bruise, but I was able to walk up to the road and get a ride back to a nearby gas station. And I'm very thankful I got to walk away from that. And it was one of those life and death experiences. I hoped I never had to have it again. So let's fast forward a year. I was thinking of moving to Sacramento. I was in a new car because I ended up totaling the other one by driving off a cliff. And I was in a new Blazer. Well, I was in a Blazer new to me, but it was about the same age I am. It was from 1985. And I'm driving, I left Sacramento, I'm driving along the causeway towards Davis. You guys know where that is. There's rice paddies and sort of wet fields off to the side. And all of a sudden, something happens to the car. It won't slow down. I can take my foot off the gas, but it won't slow down. The accelerator cable snapped. I didn't know that at the time. So I'm driving along at 65 miles an hour, going west, and I can't slow the car down. I managed to pivot into a right lane by not crashing anybody, and I see an off-ramp to who knows where. I just want to get off the freeway. I slam on the brake, I'm pulling off, I finally shift the thing into neutral and just sort of coast towards the levee, and I stopped there shaking. And I had another car-related life and death experience, and it was the same thought. I didn't do anything yet. I think I was maybe 21 at the time, and I hadn't left a mark. And that was the most frustrating thing. I don't want to leave the world without doing something. And that's why my topic tonight is called The Dash. If you go to a graveyard, there's tombstones everywhere. Some are legible, some are very old, and there's two dates, and in the middle is a dash. That is your life. That dash is how much time you have to make an impact in the world. So what are you going to do with your dash? And I've asked this question many times myself. What am I going to do with my dash? How will history remember me? About 6 years ago, I was having a poignant conversation with my dad, who was battling cancer at the time, and I remember reading about scientific advancement, and I realized that thanks to the increasing life expectations, I might live to see the year 2100. That would be so cool, 2100. We'd be about 100 and some teens, but it's possible. And I remember him looking over at me. He had some hair falling out from chemo, and he said, I just want to see 2008. Unfortunately, he didn't. And his dash was shorter than I hope mine was. But even though it was only 55 years, it was still impactful. He was still able to do something. He was able to raise 3 kids. He was able to start his own business, and he was able to go out with a bang. He taught fishing the last few years of his life, and he loved that. That was his passion. He was able to pass that knowledge on to other people. So what am I going to do with my dash? Well, I've been going to school a very long time, taking the scenic route, and it's still not the impact that I want to make. And I'm searching for my dash, and I look at other people, these great legacies that people leave, and I keep asking, what is my dash? I encourage you each to find out what your dash is. In that, mark, what will be your legacy to history? It may be biological. It may be having kids and rearing the next generation. It may be sociological. You may create some sort of science, you may create technology, you may be the CEO of a company, you may run for president. What is your dash? When you won't be around, but when somebody reads your obituary, what do you want that first line to be? What do you want your legacy to be? In that dash, what do you want it to say about you? Those 2 other years don't matter. The first year you won't remember because you were 0. The last year, depending on how wild it was, you may remember. It may be impactful. But for a lot of people at that old age, it's not their most exciting year, I'll say that much. So what do you want your dash to be? Some people think that their impact is minute. But there's a phrase in the Talmud that says, it was featured in Schindler's List, and it says, "He who saves one life saves the world entire." Even if you reach out to one life, that trickles, that goes on. As Joey mentioned, inspiration, you're here for a purpose. You're here to do something. And it may seem small, it may seem insignificant. It may seem like just coming to a Toastmasters meeting. But that action, that coming, that can start the ripple, that can start the avalanche, and that can make a difference for somebody. So what will my dash be? I hope that my dash will be something of substance. I'm hoping that my dash will be something of value. It doesn't need to be fame, it doesn't need to be fortune, it doesn't need to be on a list somewhere. But I need to know, when I do leave this world, I don't know if it'll be in a car-related accident, I hope not, I've had a few of those already. But when I leave the world, and I hope it's not chained to a hospital bed, I hope it's peaceful. As the old joke goes, I would like to die peacefully in my sleep, like my grandfather did, not screaming like the passengers in his car. I want to know that I made a difference. If I'm on a deathbed, it may be a death car, but if I'm on a deathbed, I want to know that I made a difference. I want to know that I left something. I want to know that when people go to my gravestone and they see my dash, that dash mattered. And Toastmaster.